Hello, you can call me Eleanor, and this is the introduction to a story that I'm going to attempt to tell in disjointed bits and pieces, probably. You'll, if you watch the various videos, you'll quickly understand why I'm wearing this ridiculous mask, because some things I won't want certain people to see, know about, not necessarily bad things, just certain people don't need to know about certain things. Anyway, so I'm sure you're familiar with the archetype of the crazy cat lady. Well, I only have 2 cats, so I don't think I quite fit that bill yet. But anyway, a term that well, not really a term, my name for this particular archetype that I like to use is Eleanor Rigby, as in the Beatles song, as in this right here. So I really doubt that anyone sets out to become Eleanor Rigby, someone who dies alone, lonely, no friends, keeps a face in a jar by the door, you know, the mask that she puts on to function in daily life, and you know, no one comes to her funeral, and her life had no impact, essentially meaningless. Well, okay, I'm not gonna say that my life has no impact on anyone, but still, I feel probably about a decade ago, I realized that I was heading down the Eleanor Rigby pathway quite steadily, and I've been trying to fight it off and on to some degree ever since, and I'm not getting anywhere with that. I'm not being successful at all, and you know, the thought occurred to me of the crazy old cat ladies that we all probably know one of, at least. How did they end up that way? And since I seem to be headed, despite my best efforts, right down that pathway, I thought maybe I would like to document how this happened, against my will, mostly. So, a little bit about myself, for informational purposes, so that you can have an idea of where I'm coming from. I have a milestone birthday coming up later this year. I'll be 50. I have a 20-year-old son who I raised as a single mom with a little bit of help from his dad, but it was mostly me. I own my own home. I'm a little over halfway through my 30-year mortgage. But for the past, oh gosh, 6 years, in order to be able to keep this home, I have had to work 2 jobs. A full-time job that I enjoy for the most part and pays decently for what I do, but could possibly be a little too old for, overqualified for it in some ways, but it's not an easy job. And then I have a part-time job that is pretty easy. It's a lot less stressful than the full-time job. I enjoy it most of the time. So, you know, could be worse on those fronts. I really should look for something a lot better so that I could just do the one job, because all of the time and energy that I expend having to work 2 jobs, it does have a detrimental effect on several things that I'll talk about later. Let's see. I'm not, horribly ugly or a monster by any means. I don't really consider myself attractive, but I do seem to occasionally attract guys. I'm out of shape, overweight, but not in the obese range. I'm very active because both of my jobs require me to be on my feet most of the time. So I'm actually in better shape than a lot of the men that I meet in my age range, and have more energy because I've just kept so active over the years. My IQ is somewhere around 141, so I'm not a genius, but I'm a sub-genius, I guess. Just briefly, I'll say that I did extremely well in school. I was 99th percentile on standardized tests, if you know what that is. And I have a gay roommate, 2 cats, like I said, and I'm completely self-sufficient, although I have to live very frugally. My car is old, very high mileage. I'm stable financially, but doesn't take much to go wrong with my car, for instance, to make things incredibly tight financially. So there's always an underlying bit of stress on the financial level, but I have learned how to live very frugally, very successfully, and I actually have backup money in the bank for now. I'm not religious. I'll definitely explain more about that later. I've had 2 long-term boyfriends in my life. They well, and another long-term relationship of some kind that I'll also get into later. Currently, I have a very small handful of close friends that I can talk to about anything. Really, only one or two that I can really talk to about anything. And I'm very single, and but I do have a 28-year-old lover, I guess you would say, that I see once every couple of months, and this has been going on for about 4 years now, so that is a little bit of an ego boost, being 49 and still being able to attract well, this 28-year-old guy who I think is pretty hot. So, but and I live in the Bible Belt, fairly conservative area, and the one thing here that makes me Eleanor Rigby, that sets me apart, well, there are a lot of things that make me Eleanor Rigby, but the one thing that sets me apart here from all the women that I know, and all but one or two men, is the fact that I've reached this age and I've never been married. And that is a big enough deal to me and the population here in general that I feel like a pariah. I feel stigmatized. It's one of those things where when people find it out, they're a little bit shocked, and I can tell that they're looking at me with this question in their mind of, what's wrong with you that you've never been married? And there are a lot of reasons for that. Well, I'm gonna do a video at a time in no chronological order, with probably random events in my life, but things that were significant. And it's all relevant because everything that I have done and experienced up to now has resulted in me being who I am right now. So I'm going to end this prologue, and I will see you in the next video.